And so, we have these very accomplished people coming and doing this race. And I think what's even more interesting is they do it year after year after year. They don't just sign up to do it the one time. They love it so much. They love the experience. They love seeing people coming out on the shore or out in their boat and cheering them on as they go by, which is something that's relatively unique to our race as well. They don't experience that at a lot of other races, but they get this great, Alabama hospitality, I would call it, not just Southern, but Alabama hospitality, where, people want to cheer them on and follow along. And so it's a real testament to the people here that these racers come back year after year because they want to feel that same experience each year.
All right, let's do this for the people listening. Now, let's start out. Y'all have a blast off, I guess, is what for the lack of a better term. You probably know the term better. Let's talk about the start. Let's go. Take us through that 10 days. Take us through that 10 days, because some of them are going to get there before, it's going to spread out. Take us on that great Alabama 650. Take us on that 10-day trip.
Yes. So racers start up at Weiss Lake in Cherokee County. And, it's the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains right there. So they have a mountain setting behind them on this beautiful lake. And, immediately after leaving from the start line, they have to deal with their first portage, which is the Weiss Dam. And so they are pulling out of the lake right there and having to portage on foot to a put-in, which is about a half mile away. And so they're carrying the boat with them to that new put-in. So I would kind of term that as sort of the very first section of the race. After that, you've got a lot of just meandering Coosa River that takes you into Gadsden and down into Neely Henry Lake. And, that section can have a little bit of flow depending on release of the dam and depending on the weather. But for the most part, they just have a nice, easy paddle all along, passing Gadsden and moving down the Coosa. Most of that happens on Saturday, October the 1st. The next day, most of them are entering into Logan Martin Lake. And so it's a Sunday, October the 2nd, when they're hitting Logan Martin. So that's when they really start to experience a lot of people. They have people out on their boats. They have people on their docks, cheering for them, playing music for them. Just a wide variety of things are occurring. And it just continues on for the next couple of days, where they're going down the Coosa, passing through Lay Lake, Mitchell, Jordan, all these different dammed bodies of water along the river trail. And they're dealing with a lot of flat water. So it's requiring them to paddle. They're not getting the benefit of the river moving them along. If they don't paddle, they don't move, is the best way to describe that. Then as they are getting in above Wetumpka, they hit their first set of rapids. And if any of your listeners are aware, there's a couple, depending on what the release is, there's a couple of pretty big rapids that they take on, including, again, depending on the release, a class 4 it can be. And so they're taking on that. And then they're entering into Wetumpka and Montgomery and inevitably into the Alabama River. And so now we're getting into your area. So everybody knows what that's like. I mean, you get this wide variety of terrain, from white cliff walls to some farmland to, forested land to, the beginning of the wildlife too. This is the point where we're leaving some of the civilization and they're starting to see the bald eagles. They're starting to see wild hogs and deer and otters and alligators. Exactly. Yeah. All of that's starting to happen at this point. And so they're passing through Robert F. Henry, Lock and Dam, and then they're passing through Miller's Ferry. And so they're getting to experience Selma, and they're getting to experience Camden. So they're getting to see some of these areas that are close to the river or on the river. And then they enter the next section after Claiborne as they enter into the Delta. And so they've got a lot of that, the trail itself, they have to follow a very specific line, but the trail itself is basically going through lots of different meandering sections of the river. It's breaking out into many different little tributaries throughout, and so they're having to select the exact line that they're supposed to take. And then they start to encounter tidal water, so they're dealing with the water essentially pushing them back depending on when it's coming in and going out. And then they hit the bay, and they're paddling along the eastern shore, and they're experiencing stingrays and dolphin and sharks and all these amazing creatures in the bay. And they finish up at Fort Morgan, literally right next to the beach. So they've experienced it all. They've seen all types of water. They've seen all types of beautiful parts of our state. And it really is sectioned into very unique, distinct areas.
Wow. I tell you, you just made my skin crawl talking about that. And all of that's in our great state of Alabama. And not many people even realize that.
They don't. And sometimes it's a bit of a slow burn educating people on what we have, but where we are today versus where we were 4 years ago is night and day. There are a lot more people that are aware of who we are, aware of the race, and aware of what we have on offer. And we just have to keep on keeping on, doing the event, keep on getting out there and talking to people and letting them know what's available and how they can get involved as much as possible.